Okay. If you don't recognize that tune, I'll describe it in a little bit, but that's from one of the most popular TV series in a while. The Golden Girls ran from the 80s to the 90s. One of my favorite shows. I still watch those reruns every night. All right. I'd like to open, as I usually do, with a little bit of humor to get us all set and ready for the sermon. So, Dan was passing by his bestie's office. "Brian, what's wrong with you? You've been sitting at your desk looking depressed for the last 5 minutes." "Oh man," responded Brian, "I don't know what to do. I got in a big fight last night with my girlfriend. She claims I never buy her gifts, so I must not care about her." "Brian, that's horrible," said Dan, putting his arm around Brian. "What type of gift does she want?" "Well, right before she slammed the door in my face, she said to me, 'Why don't you show me how much you care about me? Why can't you get me something that goes from 0 to 140 in 5 seconds? "Dan, what should I do? I don't have that kind of money. I can't go out and buy her a sports car." "A car?" said Dan. "Who needs a car? Just go to Target and buy her a scale." There you go. All right, that got you warmed up a little. You know, a best friend will be there in any situation, good or bad. They may not give you the best advice in the world, but they will always show you that they care about your problems. So this morning, we're going to take a look once again at those people we call friends in our lives and see how we are indeed blessed by their presence in our lives. So would you please pray with me? Dear Creator God, today we celebrate in all the blessings that you provide for us. We celebrate in your love and the love of friends and family. Help us to see you in the face of our friends and in the world around us. Now may the words of my mouth and the meditation of all our hearts be acceptable to you, our strength and Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so today we have arrived at the last Sunday in our sermon series, Thank You for Being a Friend. Our sermons for the past 3 weeks have been based on the characters from the hit TV show The Golden Girls, which ran from about 1985 through 1992. The series revolved around 4 older women, the girls, who were roommates in Miami Beach and came to be best friends. They encouraged each other, they fought with each other, and they generally shared their lives and their loves and their problems with each other, often over cheesecake in the kitchen late at night. Now, granted, these were fictional characters developed by sitcom writers. But I think the reason that these characters in the show was so popular was not only because of the humor, but because there was something in each character that the viewers could relate to. Whether we saw ourselves, or a life situation in any of the characters, or perhaps we saw a family member or a friend in one of the characters, each of those characters was developed and written in a way that left us with a warm, if not familiar, feeling. So 3 weeks ago, we looked at Sophia, which was Dorothy's mother. The girls were Sophia, Dorothy, Blanche, and Rose. So Sophia was Dorothy's mother, who had that old-world spunk and charm. She always had an anecdote or a story about Sicily or New York. And every time she said, "Picture it, Sicily, 1925, we actually could." Her stories always dealt with family or friends and how being there to support the family or friend mattered. To Sophia, there was nothing more important than family and friends. And then, 2 Sundays ago, we looked at Rose, the scatterbrained Scandinavian nitwit, as she was often called by the others. Rose was naive and honest, and often didn't really have a clue as to what was going on around her, except for those few times when she did, and then she was right on the money. To Rose, truth and honesty and kindness were key to all relationships. Although she did have a competitive spirit that sometimes trumped the truth and the honesty. But if you were friends with Rose, you could always count on her to level with you and treat you kindly. She was indeed a friend who cared for both people and animals in a very genuine and loving way. Blanche. Okay, now, Blanche, we looked at last week. She was a somewhat trampy, somewhat slutty character who embraced her sexual nature to the fullest. She definitely enjoyed the company of men. Many, many men, she would, in her quest to find the next great love of her life. Now, Blanche and Rose and Sophia were widows who lost their one true loves. But Blanche, I think, of the three of them, was really ready to move on and really embraced using her looks and her sensuality and her beauty to meet men. She was always sure she would marry again, even though she continually compared each of the men she dated with her ex-husband, George. Blanche believed in true love, in the celebration of sexuality, and, with a lot of prodding from the other girls, in commitment. Although she seemed scared of commitment, deep in her heart, she really did believe in it. But as we heard from last week's sermon, she often lacked the self-confidence and the self-assurance that came from truly loving herself. You know, if Blanche had recognized that God loved her and believed in her, if she had truly recognized that her friends loved her for who she was, she might have been able to look beyond just her good looks and beauty and celebrate all her gifts and talents. And now, this week, we arrive at Dorothy, the last of the girls. Dorothy's character was married for 38 years to Stan, a lackluster, freeloading novelty salesman who divorced her for a much younger flight attendant. Although she's still angry at the divorce, she also still cares for Stan, and often takes him under her wing, although reluctantly, but takes him under her wing to help him when he is down on his luck. Mostly, she is still quite hurt with him for abruptly dumping her and having several affairs. But at other times, she's confused about her feelings toward him. Still, even after 38 years, she is struggling to move on. However, because of the adversity she's been through, Dorothy is the strong one of the four. Between getting pregnant out of wedlock before she graduated high school and then being divorced 38 years later, Dorothy has had to fend for herself. She works quite hard as a substitute teacher, supports her mother Sophia, and is the one that Rose, Blanche, Sophia, and Stan all turn to when they need advice, or are in trouble, or have self-doubts. Out of pain, Dorothy has become conscious of her strengths and her gifts, and has learned self-confidence that the other girls have not. Granted, she sometimes lapses in her self-confidence, but mostly knows what she can do and what she can't do. And the girls see that in her and rely on her strength. She's the big, strong, strapping woman that often takes control and the other girls look up to. I think Dorothy's character speaks to how we can all learn about the gifts that God has given us and what our strengths are. Think about it. Just about everybody has had some hardship in their lives. And I would suspect that we all have learned, or tried to learn, about being strong in the face of adversity. Whether it's illness, or death, or work, or financial, or emotional issues, none of us is exempt. But to get through it all, we can't just run around in circles with our hands in the air screaming and yelling like SpongeBob SquarePants. We have to gather our wits and move ahead with life just like Dorothy's character did. We have to find the inner strength and peace to deal with each situation and trust in our faith in God that we will be guided through and past whatever the hardship or the issue is. To be strong doesn't mean to be superhuman. Rather, it means to let God and God's Spirit lead us. It means to trust that whatever is going on is just part of God's plan for our lives. It means to recognize all of the gifts that we possess that will help us through the situation at hand. And it means to recognize that God, family, and friends will be there to lend a hand and to help support us as well. It means that we don't have to go through the hardship alone. If we allow God and others into our lives, we will have the emotional and physical support we need to get through just about anything. Being strong is learning to rely on ourselves, other close friends, and God when we are weak or hurt. Now, you know, there's another thing that's quite evident in Dorothy's character, and that is while she may or may not be able to count on blood family for support, she will always be able to count on the friends that she has surrounded herself with. And it's those friends, the girls, that she treats with compassion, with kindness, with gentleness, and with patience. She bears through their wacky stories and craziness, forgives them after they get into fights or disagreements, and she treats them with genuine love and caring. She exemplifies our scripture today from Colossians. Clothe yourself with heartfelt compassion, with kindness, with humility, with gentleness, with patience. Bear with one another. Forgive whatever grievances you have against one another. Forgive in the same way that God has forgiven you. Above all else, put on love, which binds the rest together and makes them perfect. You know, we bring people into our lives as friends because we see something in them that strikes us as fun or beautiful. We see things that we have in common with them. We see something in their character or personality that clicks with our own personality and character. We may not initially bring friends into our lives as friends because we can count on them, but after a while we learn that indeed we can count on our friends, and vice versa. We can show them that they can count on us. One of the best quotes I've read about being friends was, "Friends are like walls. Sometimes you lean on them, and sometimes it's good just knowing they're there." As Reverend Torrey stated in his sermon 2 weeks ago, God has put certain people and friends in our life for a certain reason. Whether they are lifetime friends who provide a smile, a helping hand, a shoulder to cry on, or a listening ear, or whether they are just casual friends who provide joy and caring that helps us along our daily journey, we all need friends. And so too it is with God, who is our best friend. God is there not only to support us when we are weak, or to listen to our every prayer, or to provide us with blessings and miracles when we need them most, but God is also there to remind us that God also works through the people we call friends. God uses friends to provide that friendship and love and care that each and every one of us need. If we look close enough, we can see God's love in each and every person we call a friend. And so too, God uses us to be God's face of love and kindness in this world. Think about it. For every friend you have in your life, perhaps you are a friend to someone else. And friendship is a two-way street. You can't have many friends if you only use your friends and don't give any friendship in return. You know, that strawberry plant won't bear many sweet strawberries if you don't water it once in a while. So too with friendship. God tells us to love one another and lay down your life for your friends. Proverbs tells us that a friend loves at all times. And today's scripture tells us to put on love. To have friends means to be a friend to others. To experience the love of a friend means to love a friend in return. It is God's love and God's friendship that is found in each and every one of us, that we pass along to everyone we call a friend or a brother or a sister. And then finally today, Dorothy is the only one who truly recognizes and believes in standing by family and family of choice. Although she has brought her mother Sophia to live with the girls, she stands up for taking care of both blood family and the family that has been created by the four women living together. Now, many times throughout that series, lines like, "You're my family and you make me happy to be alive," or, "I have friends who stand by me through the good and the bad, and when you have those kind of friends, you just want to pass it along," or, "If you can't count on family, who the heck can you count on?" Those are just typical lines spoken throughout the series. I think the writers, the show, hit on the theme of close friends being family, and they hit on it often throughout the series. Probably one of the best examples from that show that hit home closest to me was when the character Rose was in the hospital for a triple bypass, and none of the girls were allowed to see her in the ICU because they weren't related to her. They weren't blood family. But Dorothy reminded the nurses and Rose's daughter that the four women shared a house together and shared their lives together, and that they were there for each other in ways that blood relatives sometimes weren't. They were there for each other no matter what, and they would be there for Rose even if she needed rehabilitation and costly therapy. They may not have been blood relatives, but they were certainly family in every other respect. I think the reason that this concept hit home for me was because it was very true in my life. I had a supportive family and parents and a sister living here in Milwaukee, but I spent 22 years and 1,300 miles away living away from them in Boston. When I first moved to Boston in 1983, I moved there with no family, no friends. I was starting a new job, I had an unfamiliar place to live, and I knew nothing about the city. I was on my own, completely dependent on myself for support and making a new life for myself. In time, I found a circle of friends. I found the MCC church. I got to know the city and found places where I could be the newly out man that I was. The close friends I made became my family of choice in a place that was far removed from my blood family. These were friends that coached me, counseled me, helped me through tough times, and celebrated in who I was. They made me feel special and loved and cared for. I truly have MCC to thank for my close friends, because it's through that MCC there in Boston that I bonded with several of my closest friends in life. It was through worship and socializing and getting involved with fundraising and community events that I connected with these people that would become my very special friends. I am convinced that God brought these people into my life so that I would have company and support on my life's journey. I'm also convinced that I was able to contribute to them on their journey as well, providing support and love and care in their times of need. Now, I'm willing to bet a lot of you have surrounded yourself with friends that you also consider your family or family of choice. Friends that have cared for you and supported you and made you feel loved. Friends that treat you like family should, especially if your true family and relatives have disowned you or treated you hatefully or with malice. Never underestimate your family of choice or the fact that God has led you to one another. They are the ones who will help you through the good times and the bad. I am convinced we all need family in our lives, whether it be blood family or friends who have become our family of choice. None of us can go it alone, for very long at least, without feeling despondent or worthless or feeling like there is something wrong with us. Whether it be actual family or friends of choice, we need these people who treat us with compassion, kindness, gentleness, and patience, and who forgive us when we get testy or angry or belligerent. Which one of you haven't become testy or angry or belligerent in your lifetime? I don't think I say it in the ends. The good news for today is that God truly loves us and is a friend to us. God has also provided us with a friend in Jesus, as the hymn goes, someone who laid down his life for us and the rest of the world. And God provides us with the people in our lives who are our family and friends. Friends who show us the face of God and who love and care for us with compassion, kindness, gentleness, patience, and forgiveness. Now, throughout this sermon series, we have looked at what it means to have friends and be a friend. We have looked at how to dedicate ourselves to our friends, to treat them with kindness, and even to recognize that when our friends and God love us, when we recognize that we can have the self-confidence to embrace our gifts and our talents and be a friend back to others. I'll repeat it again. Never underestimate the power of friendship in your life. Friends can put a smile on your face, help you through the worst of times, and celebrate you in the best of times. God can lift you up when you are weak, provide for you when all hope seems lost, and use you to save a life. And having Jesus as a friend means that we have the best example in the world of how to be a friend and treat others like we would like to be treated. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, "Thank you for being a friend." So go out there today and celebrate each and every friend that you have in your life. Let them know how special they are to you and how much you appreciate and love them. Let them know that you couldn't make it in this world without their love and friendship and care. And let them know that they are a gift from God to you. Thank God each and every day for friends and family that God has given you, whether they are blood relatives or family of choice. For God provides sustenance for your journey in the form of friends and through Jesus. All are there to make us truly thankful for life and what God has given us. Go into the world and be that same friend back to others. And clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, patience, forgiveness, and love. Do so in the name of God who loves you and blesses you every day. Amen.